Fernandes has joined Manchester United. They have not lost a game. He has also assisted 4 goals and scored 3 in only 9 games from midfield. Only Liverpool have picked up more Premier League points than Manchester United since his arrival as well, and he's completely lifted the move at Old Trafford. Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and today's video is 5 reasons why Bruno Fernandes has improved Manchester United. We're going to look into 5 key reasons how Bruno Fernandes has improved Manchester United. We're going to be picking out errors in games, doing a little tactical analysis of like the way Bruno plays, what he adds to Manchester United, among other things. The first reason that Bruno Fernandes has improved Manchester United is his ability to break down teams. Manchester United this season have struggled most when teams sit back against us, as we struggle to break them down, and we've gone plenty of games where we just score 1 goal and we can't break down the team, and even gone 3 games in a row at one point in the Premier League where we couldn't score a goal. With Paul Pogba being injured and Juan Mata not being a regular starter, in a lot of our games we've not had a creative player in the team, meaning breaking down teams that sit deep against us has been a real problem, and we've been at our worst when teams have played part the bus football against us. Now, when Bruno Fernandes came to Manchester United, he's come in as a number 10, and we've been crying out for a number 10. We knew we needed one in the summer, we didn't get one, and in January we needed one even more because our most creative player, Paul Pogba, had a long-term injury. So not only Bruno Fernandes is a midfielder that likes to score goals and get assists, something that we don't have other than Paul Pogba. And when Bruno Fernandes came to Manchester United, he improved us a lot because of his ability to break down teams. We've seen in plenty of games that when Bruno Fernandes gets the ball, he likes to take the risky pass to maybe play the attackers in, rather than doing the basic pass, which we've often seen Lingard and Pereira do, and just pass it back to the fullback, pass it back to the midfielder. And while Bruno Fernandes, he gets the ball and he just takes the risky pass, you know, there's a chance that he might lose the ball, but he'd rather pass the ball forward, have a potential in losing it, than passing it back. For example, against Derby County, you can see here that Bruno Fernandes picks up the ball, and there's Fred there. You think, okay, if this was Lingard or Pereira or the old Manchester United, they're just going to play it into Fred there, running towards him. But no, Bruno Fernandes spots Luke Shaw. He knows Luke Shaw's making a run, and he plays it through to Luke Shaw to pick it up. Bruno Fernandes has done this plenty of times where he's held the ball up or seen that a player's making the run and quickly lined the ball up and passed it through the defence for players to run onto, which is really key in breaking down teams, because when teams sat back we just kept passing it back and back. But now we have a player that will want to try and break down teams, try things, even if it risks losing the ball, try and play it through. For example, here against Everton, we see Bruno Fernandes has got the ball, and you know he's holding up the ball a bit because he knows that Luke Shaw is making an overlapping run, so he holds the ball for a few seconds because he has the player intelligence to see what Luke Shaw's doing, and then he plays it through to Luke Shaw. We've also saw against Everton with Anthony Martial. Here Bruno Fernandes, you can see him picking up the ball. He's in a kind of difficult area. He's got players all surrounding him, and you think, well, Martial run towards him. You know, that's kind of what the old Manchester United would do before Bruno Fernandes, or maybe he'll just pass it back to the defenders. But no, Bruno Fernandes spots a space for Anthony Martial to run into, and he knows that. And we know that Manchester United are the most deadly when they're running in behind, and he plays that pass for Martial to run onto, playing him in behind. And with Manchester United, if we can play them in behind, our 3 attackers in behind, because they're very pacey, that's when we are our deadliest. And Bruno Fernandes has the ability to pick a pass and play us in behind, making us the biggest threat. So that's the first reason why Bruno Fernandes improves Manchester United. The second reason is that we now look like a threat from set pieces. Before Bruno Fernandes came, we just never really scored from set pieces, even though we had the aerial presence of like Harry Maguire. We just didn't seem to score much. We'd almost do a bad delivery or maybe a short corner that ended up back at the goalkeeper. You know, Juan Mata's a good dead ball delivery, but he doesn't play regularly, and we've relied on Fred and Pereira to do it. And you know, they put a few good balls in, but they're not consistent enough. With Bruno Fernandes, he's a consistent player that can bring in a dead ball delivery. We saw against Chelsea with the second goal, that brilliant corner landing on Maguire's head, and that whole game when Bruno Fernandes was taking corners, it looked like Maguire was going to score. And ever since then, Maguire's looked like scoring pretty much most games. You know, before that he didn't really like scoring from corners, but since Bruno Fernandes has come, Maguire's looked massively like scoring from corners. And you've also got to think against Manchester City, that beautiful set piece where Bruno dings it over, times it perfectly, hits it perfectly, like he couldn't hit it any better. He has to hit it perfectly to Martial, to play Martial in, and Martial scores it, squeezes it in the near post. Now he gives us the ability to try things at set pieces, because not many players have the ability to time a ball, to get Martial to time it so perfectly, the run as well, to play the ball into that specific area. You know, with Bruno Fernandes, we now look like a threat from set pieces because 1, deliveries are consistent and good, and 2, he can try new things. He can not only just shoot, he can play the ball in, he can cross the ball in, but beforehand it was either Rashford takes a shot or we try and put it on Maguire's head and Maguire dinks on. But now from set pieces, Bruno Fernandes has given us the ability to just look like a threat, and that's going to add so many more goals to our game. And as you know, goals win us games. Now, the third point is Bruno Fernandes' player intelligence. Now, player intelligence is a thing that we lack. You know, our players are good, but they're young and experienced. For example, with Daniel James, he lacks a lot of player intelligence. There's been times where he's got the ball and he's not looked up and he's shot. Obviously, I love Daniel James. He's a good player. It's his first season in the Premier League, so of course he's going to improve. But Bruno Fernandes has got player intelligence. So I think Bruno Fernandes and Mata are probably two of the most intelligent players in the Premier League from what I've seen, is in they have the ability to make runs into the right areas, sort of read the game. And, you know, that's really improved Manchester United. And I'm going to use this Manchester City game as an example. Here you can see Bruno Fernandes picks up the ball, and he just knows without even thinking that James is going to be running down there. So as soon as he gets the ball, he passes it on to James there, setting James free. You know, like, he doesn't even have to look up or think. He just knows. But there's other areas in that Manchester City game where we saw Bruno's player intelligence, and that is where he knows where to make runs too. So even if he's not on the ball, he's always making runs into key areas. Here, for example, against Man City, there were 2 times in that Man City game where Martial at first and then James could have squared it to Bruno Fernandes for a tap-in and a goal. Bruno Fernandes could have got 2 goals that game if Martial and James just looked up. Here's an example with Dan James. Dan James gets the ball, he's in a key area. You can see Bruno Fernandes running into the box. All Dan James has to do is look up and square it. Bruno's not marked and it's a tap-in. But Dan James shoots, and he does it again. Martial does the exact same. But there's 2 areas where Bruno Fernandes was there on the top of the box for a tap-in. And obviously afterwards, Bruno Fernandes was like, why didn't you pass it to me? I was there for a tap-in. But he adds that to our game, because beforehand, Lingard and Pereira, they weren't really making those runs. But now there's an option. He's at the top of the box because he's like, you can square it to me. And he has that intelligence to know where a player's making runs, play it to a player making runs, but also be in the right area. So when a player is about to put in the cross, he could be at the top of the box, unmarked, ready to tap it in. Now this 4th point I'm going to click on kind of links in with the point I was just mentioning about, but this is Bruno Fernandes' ability to improve players around him and his leadership quality. Now Bruno Fernandes, he was obviously Sporting Lisbon's captain. You know, I think he's recently turned 25, so you know he's experienced, but he's still young. He's a leader, and he has that quality to improve players around us. Not only is he a leader, but he came into the squad like a leader, like he wasn't new, and he was giving orders to other players. We saw against Derby, he would be like pointing to Lingard to run there. He'd be like, you need to run there. And, you know, he just makes the players around him look better. He's improved the players around him. We saw multiple times in that Manchester City game, he'd go up to James and be like, look up, I'm there. Or he'd be pointing for where players to run and to make runs. And he had this tiki-taka kind of link up with Mata against Derby, where because they're both intelligent players and they were both reading each other. But Bruno Fernandes has come in and he's improved other players. You know, not only just telling them to make runs, where to go, because obviously he's got that player intelligence, but also with Martial. Before Bruno Fernandes came in and Rashford was injured, we had no creators in the team. Martial was getting no service, he was kind of struggling, he was getting a lot of criticism, and it wasn't really Martial's fault. But when Bruno Fernandes came in and he gave Martial the service, we've seen Martial banging goals. Martial was on fire, and you can see how happy Martial is, because a player with Bruno's quality is constantly playing him, and Martial's getting the goals that he loves to score. So Bruno Fernandes' 4th point is he's improved players around us. The 5th and final point being is that Bruno Fernandes has given the club hope, belief and momentum again. And you might be thinking, what do you mean? Well, before Bruno Fernandes joined Manchester United, we had that awful 2-0 defeat to Burnley where everyone kind of left in like the 80th minute. It was like the worst we played all season. Rio Ferdinand just was like really upset. He went in, everyone was losing faith in Oli. Like it was one of the worst states the club had been in. Then all of a sudden we signed Bruno Fernandes. We went unbeaten in 11 games. We got 9 clean sheets. We scored 29 goals in our last 11 games, averaging like nearly 3 goals a game. Like the whole club has been turned around. Like belief's kind of back in Oli. It looks like we're going somewhere, and he's given us momentum. And the thing with Manchester United is, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is, he's a momentum manager. When we saw it when he first came. When he gets win after win after win, he runs on momentum. And I feel like Bruno Fernandes, even though the season has stopped now, he gave us that momentum back, that hope back. The fans are back behind Oli, back on the side, and I think that's a massive thing. You know, it's not like a thing that you see in game, but like one player's just given the club so much belief and so much momentum that it's probably turned around the mood at the club, the dressing room, and obviously the fans are back behind the club, and it's made a massive difference. Now going into this break without football, because we're on such a good run, it's less depressing, if you know what I mean. But obviously the momentum has been broke. But Bruno Fernandes has given us hope and momentum again, and I think that is a massive thing. So that video was 5 reasons why Bruno Fernandes has improved Manchester United. I hope you enjoyed that video. If I missed a reason, feel free to put it in the comment section down below. Hit that like button and subscribe down below if you haven't already. Thank you for watching Alice Talks Football. See you next time.